Did you know that technology has advanced in cattle production and they now use implants? Livestock and Natural Resources agent J.K. Yarborough has more information about this process. Welcome, J.K.
Hi, Ms. Celeste.
Tell me a little bit about implants. What are they?
So implants are hormonal stimulants that we inject into the animal to be able to stimulate more growth and have a better feed efficiency for the animal.
So they've been used for a long time. It's not recent, really, is it?
Right. Yes, ma'am, that's right. So a lot of conception is that it's a new technology, but really we've been using hormonal stimulation in cattle production since 1954.
1954, that's a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a long time, 60 years. So it's been used for a long time, and how does it actually work in the animal?
So the way it's worked is that we inject a hormonal stimulant into the animal's body. We do it in the same location every time under beef quality assurance program. So we input it into the ear, because that's a product that we as humans don't consume. So we implant it into the ear, and then it causes a stimulation for the animal to produce more growth hormone in the body. That way it's able to put on more muscle while it's eating the same amount of feed, thus making it more feed efficient.
So we actually eat the muscle, so it's more meat for us.
Correct.
As well.
Yes, ma'am.
So I see you brought an implant system for me. Can you show me how it's done?
Yes, ma'am, certainly. So every animal health company has their own setup style how they're going to do their injection or their implants. But pretty well they all have a similar concept. So for instance, here we have our implant gun, and this is going to be our cartridge which holds our implants.
And in this little cartridge, I see they're like little pills almost, or a little pellet.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
There's several little pellets inside, and that's what goes into the animal's ear.
And this is a big orifice. I mean, it's pretty large.
It is, yes, ma'am, because these are the pellets are pretty sizable, but it's actually a good thing as well, because we'll talk about it in a second when we go to the demonstration. Mm-hmm. So before we inject the animal or implant the animal, we want to make sure that our needle is clean. So for every time we use the injection or the implant, we have a nice sponge here that we will have saturated in some sort of sterile solution. That way we're able to keep it there and clean it whenever we go to use it. We make sure we wipe both sides of the needle. Some companies actually have paint rollers that are soaked in the material. That way when you set it down, the paint rollers roll the needle in the cleaning solution.
Disinfectant? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then our next step is to take our calf's ear, our animal's ear, because that's where we put all of our implants, mm-hmm. because we don't eat that part of the animal. We put them in the middle part of the ear. What I really like about this prop here is that actually on the back side it has the veins and arteries that you can see where you really want to put that implant. And so first we're also going to make sure that we clean off the animal's ear in case there's any sort of mud or manure caked up on there, because we don't want that being injected into the system as all either. So we give it a nice scrub, and then our next technique is to grab the tip of the ear with our finger and our thumb and our index finger, give it a slight bend. When we go to put an implant in, we always have the bevel facing up. That way we don't make too much of an impact whenever we go in. When we go in, you want to go at about a 60-degree angle or so to try to make sure you don't go through the ear, because mm-hmm. the calf's ear is fairly thin. Yeah. So we don't want to just go through. We want to go underneath the skin. Mm-hmm. Right underneath the skin is where we deposit. So we would kind of pinch our ear, bend it a bit. We would slide our needle inside, inject, and then we release, and then we pull the needle out. The last thing we do before we get done is we feel the ear. We palpate the ear to make sure that we feel those bumps of where that implant is, to make sure that it didn't just go through or didn't just get stuck into the cartilage.
And with all these veins in the ear, the hormones will dissolve over time.
Over time, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. The body will metabolize them and again create more growth hormone production.
Mm-hmm. Well, J.K., I've learned a lot about implants from you today and how cattle is produced these days.
Yeah, thank you.
In modern times.
Yes,
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Now you know a little bit more about cattle production using technology and implants.